Welcome to Life Astrologer with me, Anna Isabel. And my wonderful guest today is Dr. Rebekah Smith, who is the film doctor. And so that means that she works in the film industry. So, Rebekah, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Well, the title of your book is Born to Do It. So I thought it might be fun to have a look at your chart today to see what it says about direction and purpose. So here we go. Now, first of all, you're Virgo, and Virgo just means organizational skills.
Yes.
I imagine play a large part in what you do. What do you think?
Absolutely, because my whole job is organizing, full stop. I mean, I used to be a PA back in the day, but with my company, what we do in the film industry is getting films into festivals. And that's a lot of organization when you're organizing screenings and the materials, the whole lot. So it's a full-time job and it's organized, yeah.
And I expect you have to have a great attention to detail in what you do.
Absolutely, because festivals ask for so many things when you're getting a film selected for a festival, and also when you're getting it exhibited. And there's a lot of things, and also like they want 300 DPI pictures, and that's different to a JPEG. So you have to be like totally read the email several times and not skim, because otherwise you could miss something.
Yeah, that's definitely a job for Virgo. It's such a lot of detail. But I think also, in your book, you talk about the way that you look after your clients. And it seems to me that you pay a great deal of attention to detail just in your interactions with your clients as well.
Yes, we do. Because all filmmakers are very, not all of them are sensitive, but a lot of them, they're getting a film out there. It's being vulnerable in front of people about your work and, exhibiting your work and talking about your work. So we do give them extra care, to really feel that they are part of a little family, but that they're being looked after and the film is being taken care of, because it is a precious thing to them. It's like their baby. So you're taking on quite a lot of responsibility. And that's why I always make sure we go extra mile.
So the next thing that is, there are a few things that make me think of film in your chart. And one of them is the fact that the moon is in Sagittarius, which in and of itself is not associated with film, but it's next to Neptune. And Neptune does make us think of film, and for a number of reasons, not least of which it's linked with fantasy and story. So having the moon so close to Neptune makes me automatically think of you as somebody for whom story is hugely important. Has that always been the case for you?
So the storytelling is very important to me on a personal and professional level. So, for example, when I'm talking about my story and my background and my expertise to potential clients, I give it that personal touch, but it's not all about talking about shop, about business. It's talking about me as a human and how I can work with them on a human level. And also what's important is storytelling in personal life to myself, because I don't want to keep telling myself the same stories when I get stressed about things what the ego might try and feed. It's more a case I'm not going to engage with that story. I'm going to tell a different story to give a fresh impetus and a fresh approach to what I might be going through.
So that's on a psychological level. So I'm just wondering, as a child, as a little girl, did you have your head in books? Were you always, wanting to read stories? Did you love film? Because I would expect that to be the case.
Absolutely. I love stories more like autobiographies of people. Like I got really engrossed in Katie Price, and always am now, because I think she's quite fascinating to a degree. And I always like her stories and like knowing about, that background to her and her life. I think it's fascinating. And I also liked as well Puddle Lane, which is a very like a children's brand of books, and the Brothers Grimm, but also more likely films. I'd always watched when I was younger, loads of films and that kind of thing. We're very engrossed in that type of stuff. And I mean, obviously I'm now because I work in the film industry, but when I was younger, growing up, it would always be a film over the television. I like Friends as well, and the X-Files. So they would be really on my top list. I never miss them. I dedicate, my routine around seeing them. So very engrossed.
Well, it's interesting as well because the you've got Jupiter and Mars in Scorpio. So anything to do with intrigue would be intriguing for you. It would pull you, wouldn't it? Because it's
Yes,
running
yes.
at darker.
Especially like X-Files, because that was always like, each week it would be like, the monster of the week or some kind of story. And it would always be like, I want to know what happened next night. I just always pause it and have to go to the loo for something. I'd always always make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yes, I was just thinking about the Scorpio, and the minute you spoke about X-Files, I thought, oh yeah, of course. It's looking at the underbelly of life.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. No, it is. That's what it is, because it's very much that was all that supernatural, like, on the edge. So definitely that was my cup of tea.
Actually, also, you talk in your book about that the film festival that inspired you to open your business. It was a horror
Yes.
film festival.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a horror film festival. Yeah, it was bizarre, isn't it? It's a horror film festival. Yeah, no, that inspired me a huge amount. And because that's where I, like, when I began working in that area, that's when I came alive and discovered, my why, my sole purpose. And that was through a horror film festival. And I always liked horror. And obviously horror fans are very passionate, but I was always a big horror fan. But wow, that was something else. It really was. And it was great just to have that experience. And in that world, and obviously horror films are very, all about intrigue and all about who done it. So
Yeah, as I say, looking at the underbelly of life. That.
yes. Yeah, pretty much is a horror film in all aspects.
Do you think you bring that detective like mindset into your work when you're working with your clients? Because it's in your sixth house, and it's the house to do with work. So I just wondered.
Always. So the detective aspect's interesting you say that, because in my industry, in the film festival world, a lot of politics going behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff that happens. It's not a straightforward process. Getting film into a festival is not linear or straightforward at all. There's detective work to be done, why they're screening these films and why not these films and why they're doing that. And oh, it's because of this person they're screening, maybe because it's of that. So it's very much like an in-depth kind of like conspiracy theory that, not saying myself, but just that I go dig deeper and like, oh, I see why that's there because of that sponsor and this person. So it is very much like we're always analyzing and like, oh, that's got in, like, oh, there's there, I wonder why that's there. And oh, it's one of my films, something like that. So that's 24/7 all the time.
So that's a real combination of Virgo and Scorpio working together, because it's the Virgo penchant for analysis and detail combined with the Scorpio willingness to dig deep.
Yes, that is really what it is. Because that's for me, because that is, I always go just deeper and deeper and also analyze things. It's in my nature, as you say, so that's spot on. That's why it's in my nature.
Exactly. You also, coming back to that moon in Sagittarius, you do a lot of traveling. It seems to me you're always on the move.
Always. Yeah. I mean, even through coronavirus, I was, any time I could get out, I'd be going out. No, always on the move. Like, for example, I just knew, like, when I had this last minute trip to the Rebekah Film Festival, because I just got the visa problem sorted. I said to my travel agent, look, can you just get me a ticket that's just one way from Mexico City to JFK? Because I think I need to do some more stuff, but I don't quite know what yet in the States. And I don't want to keep going back and forth because of other things I have to go through now that I've had some visa problems to resolve. So I just kind of just like keep it open. He was like, yeah, we can just keep it one way and you can just decide what you want to do. So I said to him, right, I need to go now to Dallas from New York. I need to go to New York, then Dallas from somewhere else, and then Dallas to Mexico City for a little bit. And he was just like, okay, that's cool. So I'd always be like on the move because people would want to meet me. And when you're in the film festival world, now they're coming back as live events. Previously, they had to go online because of coronavirus, but now they actually have for a very long time. They're coming back as smaller events or bigger events with, limited amount of seating, and they'd be live, so they'd be happening. So I'd be wanting to go. And there was a time where I was held back because I had visa problems and I couldn't get into the States, but there weren't many live events. There were some, but not many. But I would always be on the go, doing things around Mexico where I could, and always, doing things in my business, traveling around Mexico to promote my clients and stuff. So I'd always be on the move. I'm pretty much on the move all the time, whether I'm traveling to festivals or working and finding ways to promote. There's a festival happening in Mexico end of this month before I leave. and that's happening about an hour away. So I'm traveling there as well in the car. So
it's very exciting. And also that moon conjunction to Neptune, again, you're operating in the film world, and Neptune we associate with glamour too. So there you are, the glamorous film festivals.
that's what they are. I mean, like behind the scenes when we're doing nothing, I'll be up in the morning, like not dressed and not sending emails and doing WhatsApp before I get dressed, and emails before, I've had a wash and a shower. But on the red carpet, it's uber glam. It's got to be like the makeup and the hair and the dress, it's all very like category, very carefully approached. Also, when you said about like the attention to detail, like always make sure that I wear a new dress each festival and like launch the dress. So yeah, so it's quite.
In fact, you do in your book talk about how you have this passion for a certain type of clothing as well. And it's all in glamour. This is very Neptunian.
That's what it is then. Yeah, because I do. It's very specific, and this kind of look I want, and very, very detailed.
I think if we're thinking about what that glamour is, it's about transcending the mundane. Beauty transcends the mundane, and I think that's why Neptune is so linked with that quest for something that does exactly that, and that's why glamour plays a part in this. But the other thing that we might think about in terms of film, if you're working in the film industry, would definitely be the fifth house, which is a house we associate with creativity. And it's absolutely packed with planets in there. Wow. So there's 4 in there. And I think the one that, well, there's quite a few things there that stand out. So if I start with Mercury, you have Mercury there. Mercury is about communication. And it's also linked with business and business transactions. And this is exactly what you do. You're working in the film industry. It is a business. You're not an actor yourself. But what you're doing is you're using your communication and organization skills to bring people together. And I think that's a very noble mercurial cause. You also have Saturn in there. And it's funny because whenever I see Saturn there, I see somebody who's going to perhaps turn creativity into work. Mm-hmm. So it becomes, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, does it? It doesn't. But it's funny because when I've had Saturn traveling through my 5th house, 2 things happened. I decided that I needed to improve my skills in certain creative endeavors so that they could come out better. So that was one thing I did. And in fact, I really started to pay attention to my skills for cake decorating. And so it wasn't so much that I was full of inspiration. That comes from something else. But Saturn was saying, okay, you need to get better at what you do. And so that was turning it into work. But then it's also the possibility would be to turn a creative endeavor into a business. So that's how you would put it together. And it's actually a really lovely thing when it comes together.
No, absolutely. No, I agree completely. It is, because it's, as you say, it's not at first the most appealing, but then it does come together and then you get the results then. So that's very, very good.
And also what it does is it means that you're working on something that you love.
Yes.
So I think that's a lovely thing. You have Jupiter in that house as well. So I don't think you're lacking in inspiration, despite Saturn being there.
Exactly. There's definitely no lack in inspo. I'm always thinking of ideas. I mean, I'm top of, that's typical me and all the entrepreneurial spirit, but that is so me. Always got some ideas. Like, for example, I have this, I've created a checklist for filmmakers to, when they start something, they come to festivals, a little checklist. And I did it all myself on Canva. And I was like, do you know what? The other day, I was actually in Dallas after I met the film festival. I thought to myself, you know what? my mission now is every single filmmaker has this checklist and they know about me, but also how I can help them, but someone in their bags and on their phones. So my aim is every festival I go to, I'll give them a free checklist and put it out there for everyone to have, and goodie bags. So that's what my aim is. Everyone should have one. So please share the word, do that kind of thing. But it's like my mission is everyone can know this and have those important tools. So that's another thing that I launch soon, but it's like quite exciting. So.
What this demonstrates, it's something that I'm always explaining to clients, is that creativity does not mean that you are necessarily an artist or a writer or a film producer, or, you know, it's that creativity is there in the way of living. And here what we're seeing is that you are working in a creative field, but as a business, your creativity though comes in the way in which you do your business, in which you conduct your business. And I think that's quite quite a lovely illustration of what I say, is that creativity comes in many different ways. And for you, it's the ideas that you get that are going to make your business better, and that's going to make things better for your clients as well. So it's almost like in some respects, it's a problem-solving creativity.
Yes, absolutely. No, it is. You're right. It is. So that is quite unique, I think, because that's what I always like to have. It is because we're always, I mean, people, when you run a business, people come to you with problems to solve, which is what we do. But it's a little bit more like outside the box. Like, you know, when I see a filmmaker that's been to all the wrong festivals, and I'm like, well, let's unpack the film. We've got this niche, you've got dance festivals, you've got women's festivals, we've got short film festivals, we've got UK festivals, you know, and it's then all that creativity comes in to create a really interesting strategy when you're solving a problem at the same time.
Yeah. So there is yet something else that I can see here, and Venus in the sign of Leo. So Venus is about relationships, but it's also, I guess you can say Venus is also about our personal creativity as well. And, you know, she is all about abundance, creativity, love. And in the sign of Leo, it's passion. It's all about passion and glamour and being center stage in some way. So there you are again. It's everything that we're looking at here is an expression, an astrological translation, if you like, of your work. Or we could say it the other way around. Your work is a translation of your birth chart.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. That's a good point. It is. It very much is. So that's super spot on.
The final two bits that I thought would be nice to look at are your ascendant and your midheaven, because they're both in air signs. So ascendants have the ability to talk to anything, to anybody. I don't think it's possible for you to not have a conversation with someone.
That's true. They've all got something to say. Even people I've just randomly meet are striking up a conversation. So when I was at the film festival in Dallas, actually, when I was in there, the festival I had to attend at the same time. And it was great because I met these people and they were just like, they weren't in the film industry, they were film fans attending the festival. And it was so nice. I was just like, VIP pass, what does that mean? And then you have a conversation about that. And it's a flow, natural flow, and maybe more animated. So I can always think of something to say.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because with Gemini ascendants, they're generally brilliant at small talk.
Yes.
And small talk is what gets you into deep talk. You
yes.
have to start small. So I think that if you were just doing small talk, you would be bored, because you like to talk about more than just what's on the surface. But you, with a Gemini ascendant, know that small talk is the key to get started, so that you can get the bigger subjects, the deeper subjects.
Exactly. That's absolutely spot on. It really is. It really is. You're right. That's how I approach it.
And then finally, coming back to the second air sign on your midheaven, which is Aquarius. So I think that if there's a word that I would use to really sum up what you do, is you network.
Yes.
And if there's a sign that excels at networking, it's Aquarius.
Interesting.
And Aquarius, and the reason that's significant is because the midheaven is about our vocation. And I think that's it. Your vocation is to network. And then the rest of the chart is showing how and where you network. But that's what you do. So, you're bringing people together because you are so good at networking.
Yeah.
You know who to slot where. You know who to talk to help this person get somewhere. And that is exactly what your chart says you should be doing. So, Rebekah, you indeed were born to do it.
Yes. Clearly that's wow, I didn't know that, because you're right, you're spot on about that. So absolutely, so it must have been, wow, cool, good, that's fascinating. It really is fascinating. You're right. But also Aquarius, I didn't know that Aquarius were like the kings of networking, because I just presumed it would be I know something like me, Virgo, because I'm good at attention to detail, but that's interesting, very interesting.
Well, Aquarius thinks in collectives.
Right.
The nature of Aquarius is collective.
Right.
And because it's collective in nature, it gravitates towards groups.
Right.
And as it gravitates towards groups, it has to, networking is the means by which you achieve the desire to be collective.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, why we would say that. So, hey, well, that's fantastic. You're doing exactly that.
Yes, that's so good. It's like, I just knew that book had to be called Born to Do It for a reason. So now I know.
Well, you were talking about why what you do is your life's purpose and how you came about it. And I think that's why I thought it would be fun to have a look at your chart, because I knew that all the signatures would be there. This is merely a fairly superficial glance, but just as with a superficial glance, there's all of that in there. So I want to say thank you very much for letting me look at your charts today.
Thank you so much too. It was fascinating. I always learn so much from you about astrology. So I mean, I just, you see those horoscopes in the back of the paper, but this is like, wow, this is how it really is. So that's really opened my eyes. Thank you.
If you'd like to read Rebekah's book, Born to Do It, I will put a link on the notes accompanying this this interview, and I will also put a link to her website if you've got a film and you want to know what to do with it. She's most definitely the person to talk to, and also be a link to my own website if you want to learn more about astrology. There are talks and workshops that you could join. Thank you, Rebekah, once again.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's been really insightful. I really appreciate everything.